Baba, Mwokozi wangu. Mimi sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako. Baba, ninakupenda, asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu. Mimi sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako. Baba, ninakupenda, asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu. Mimi sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako. Baba, ninakupenda, asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu. Mimi sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako.
Cheza kidogo. Baba, ninakupenda, asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu. Umeniponya mimi, umeniinua, umenikomboa Baba. Kamwe sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako. Baba,
ninakupenda, asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu.
Kamwe mimi
sitaona haya kusema wewe wangu na mimi wako.
Baba,
ninakupenda, asante sana Baba, Mwokozi wangu.
mimi
sitaona
haya kusema wewe wangu
na mimi wako.
katika maisha yangu Baba.
Nisaidie Baba,
Katika maisha yangu
nisaidie Baba,
katika huduma yangu Baba
nisaidie Baba,
katika maisha yangu yote Baba
nisaidie Baba,
katika maisha yangu Baba
nisaidie Baba.
Hapi mikono yulu kwa Yesu, mikono yulu kwa Yesu, mikono yulu kwa Yesu. Peperusha mikono yako, peperusha mikono yako, peperusha mikono kwa Yesu, peperusha. Twende. Twende kwa chini kwa Yesu. Chini kwa Yesu. Alala. Chini kwa Yesu. Chini kwa Yesu. Baba. Chini kwa Yesu. Haya. Chini kwa Yesu. Anasema nini? Chini kwa Yesu. Haya. Chini kwa Yesu. Weka mikono position. Tunampamba Yesu. Pamba Yesu maua. Yesu anaweza. Pamba Yesu maua. Anastahili Baba. Pamba Yesu maua. Yeye ni Baba. Twende. Ayoyo. Weka mikono position.
right, welcome back to Sunday Best right here on KTN Home. It's good to have you. Asante sana. Of course, we have we're talking about overcoming addictions. And like I told you earlier, we are having Pastor Joseph Njuguna who is joining us right now so that we can have this conversation together and just talking about how do we go through this and how does God help us to be able to overcome. If you're there, you're struggling, yes, there's there's an answer for you today. Karibu sana Pasi, uko poa?
Poa sana.
Imekuwa siku nyingi?
Siku nyingi tujaonana.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana, nimeshukuru.
It's good to have you.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for making time kukuwa pamoja nasi leo.
Yes, sir.
Na kwa sababu ya muda, we will just go straight.
Yes, please.
When this happened.
Yes.
Ilianzia wapi? Rongai?
Yes, sir. Once again, my name is Joseph Juguna. I thank God for his power of transformation.
Right.
Yes, it started as a very young age. I remember I was age of 10. I began by smoking cigarettes, and it graduated from cigarettes to marijuana. From marijuana now, I began to plant the ganja in my own parents' garden, and they never discovered. And from there now, it graduated. I began to supply in our school. And it got from worse and went from different levels to a place now where I got to class A drugs. Yes, now my parents tried everything, how to make me come out of this addiction. They took me to various places trying to help me, but they couldn't succeed. And I remember now they saw that I'm gonna die here in Kenya because I got involved in many gangsters. Right. And I remember I got to different lies because without these drugs, they will make you do anything to get hold of the drugs. So they saw I'm gonna die here because some of my friends began to be beaten mob justice. And I remember it was 1995, they decided to take me from Kenya. And I remember now because they began to make the arrangements for me to leave the country because they saw I'm gonna die here in Kenya.
Right.
August 1995, they took me to London, UK. When I landed there, I saw I'm free at last.
Twende pole pole kidogo.
Yes, please.
Umekimbia sana. So all this time they've tried everything
because my mind was affected. I had lost my mind. They took me to be checked and everything. The doctors couldn't know what to do with me because it was that dimension of addiction.
Right.
It was so bad, and they saw the best thing is to remove me from here to see if my life is gonna be changed.
Right.
Yes.
But question, and I think this is a question that every person who is deep into drugs struggles with.
Yes.
Where were you getting money to feed the habit?
Yes, when I was here in Kenya, I was a mechanic.
All right.
So I would do all the hustling to get the money for drugs. Yes, and also stealing from my parents.
Right.
Yes, and there was something like I was filled with the demonic spirit because I could know where they have hidden the money. I could go even in the secret place where they have put the money. I would find the money and I'll always get the money for drugs.
Right.
Yes. And now I began also stealing. Yeah, stealing from different neighborhood, taking things, even clothes which are left outside. I would go and skunk with them and get ganja. Yeah. So they saw my level has gone so high. They have to do something. I remember days I was beaten in Nairobi, arrested, and the blood everywhere. I almost died. So my mother prayed, and she saw the best thing is to remove me from this country.
Right.
The day I got into London, the first day, I met my friends that went ahead of me.
Right.
Yes, and this is where now, the first day we went to get ganja.
And by the time you were leaving Kenya, going to London,
yes.
What were you thinking? I mean, they had hope that when you go there to study, you will be out of addiction.
That's right.
How about you? Were you hopeful that this will be an opportunity for you to change?
For me, it was an opportunity. I saw that I'm free at last. Like I'm far from them. I can do anything I want. Yeah, in a different dimension. When I was here in Kenya, my father tried to beat me out of drugs. And I discovered you cannot beat a child out of addiction. You need to know something above, and you need to connect with somebody that has been delivered from such addiction. So I remember my father tried to beat me to come out of addiction, but it was not working. It was not happening. So I remember now, the day came that I was leaving Kenya now. I was so happy that I'm free at last.
Right.
That day, my brother, I was hiding. I had already stolen from my pedra. I had already got all kind of drugs. And I remember as they were escorting me to the airport, I was waving everybody. Yeah, I was telling Kenya, bye-bye. I'm free at last. The day I landed, as I said, I had my friends who had left Kenya. They took me to Hackney, where they buy skunk weed. I'm telling you, the first day in London, we were just listening to Bob Marley and Don Carlos music, saying I'm a Rasta man. And a Rasta man never die. And if he die, nobody know. And if they know, he never smell. I and I conquering a lion, a tribe of Judah. I never knew that this thing was a lie. It was a lie. So the first day we were getting higher and higher. We never slept. We were eating hunters. We were smoking marijuana. And I remember he told me, use all the money you have. In this country, they give you income support. There is something government is going to help you with. So every pocket money I had, we spent it. And I remember that was the beginning now of how they began to show me how to make money in London.
Right.
I remember I had to carry a carrier bag and enter into a shop. And all I needed to do, we were three of us. One of the guys is to talk to the shopkeeper, and the other one is to hold the bag open. And I was to put the things in the bag and take the bag and leave the shop. I already became a thief in London. And I remember now, professional shoplifter. I began to know how to use even foil bag, how to put the stuff inside the bag that the alarm will not detect it. In a level of addiction that I could not live without this drug. It got so bad. All the guys that we were with, they were all addicted. Different kind of addiction. When you take this heroin, you begin to see like you are in another world. They call it a time killer. And I remember I began taking it by chasing it in the foil. They say chasing the dragon. And now when you smoke it, you have to swallow the smoke and hold it in your stomach so that you can get these bars. There are days I began to feel like a bird, like I can fly. You see, this is the addiction. And this level of addiction, nobody can bring you out unless the help of God.
Right.
It got so bad. It got so bad. I remember now that when I smoked this heroin now, it began not to give me any buzz. So they told me the next level is injected. Push it in your vein.
You started injecting.
Now I started injecting. Now, I began injecting now. You boil the heroin and put it in the syringe and began to push it in your veins. I remember I injected, all my veins collapsed. All my veins died. From my neck, my arms, my legs, my groin, all my veins died. I became a junkie. I became a homeless man. I began to sleep in the streets of London. And I remember now, everybody rejected me. Nobody wanted to be involved with me because I looked like a horrible man, sleeping in the streets, not showered. I had not showered for a whole year. I was sleeping in the streets of London. All my body, you could see, this man has come to the end of life. They saw me as a dead man walking. I remember days, my brother, I would stand in the bus stop and everybody will walk home because they didn't want to be next to me. It was that level of desperation. I desired to die. There was one day I was 96% dead, only 4% alive. And I remember I was lying in the middle of the road where the police car was coming to pass, and they took me to King George's Hospital. My brother, they were waking me up with electricity shocks. They didn't care even if I died, because even if I died, there was nobody to bury me. I became a homeless Rasta man that had no life, no future, man that everybody had given up on. Nobody wanted to be next to me. I became homeless, sleeping in the streets of London. Snow time, no shoes.
So, Pastor, all this
Yes.
time, there was no connection back
No
at home.
connection with my family. I lost everything. No address, no change of clothes. I don't have anywhere to stay.
How
I
about
began-
your friends who you are with?
They were all junkies. We all discussion was, where are we gonna buy the next drug? It got so bad, my brother, until now my legs became like stone because of sleeping in the snow, standing all night in a phone booth. Yeah, I began now to eat from the dustbins, eating chicken bones, eating all kind of manner of food that is left over. Everybody gave up on me. I came to the place where that people say there is no recovery. There is no comeback. All this time, my mother is in Kenya praying and believing God that one day my son is going to call home.
Right.
Years went by, 5 years, no communication. No communication. People saw me as a nobody. But you see, people can know your history.
Right.
But God knows your future.
Wow.
God knows your future.
I love that.
You know, my brother, I always tell people, I met the love of God before I met the God of love. Because it was the love of God that was keeping me sleeping in the middle of the road. It was the love of God that was keeping me when I was injecting this heroin that killed my friends. Many of them died.
Where was the turning point in all this?
The turning point was one day I was going to rob a man of God. I was going to give him getter to rock neck, and he was carrying a briefcase. And the devil ministered to me. He told me this briefcase is full of money. So as I was following the man of God, he was with the man that knew me from prison. Now remember, I had not stayed very long from prison because my life was prison life. Either if I'm not in the streets, in and out, in and out. And when they arrest me, I would carry drugs in my stomach and remove them when I get inside the prison and begin to supply to the other prisoners. That was my life. Now the turning point is where this brother told this pastor, I know this man from prison, Pentaview prison. So the pastor came, he was interested, but I was following him because of the briefcase he was carrying. He told me that, can I take you to have a cup of tea? I remember now, I was on the side where the briefcase was because I was looking for an opportunity to rock neck him and free with the briefcase because I could visualize that he's full of money. And I remember something, they say the spirit of discernment. He changed the briefcase to the other side of the hand. So I missed the opportunity. We got to the house. He tells me he went to the kitchen, made a cup of tea and anointed the tea.
That's what he said.
Yes, he anointed the tea. They call it the cup of tea that saved a junkie. So they brought that cup of tea, and I remember I had a bag full of syringes, full of needles, full of all drugs, and I laid it on the table. When they brought the tea, I remember he asked me, would you like to be saved? I didn't know what he's talking about. Then he asked me again, would you like to give your life to Jesus? He asked me, when was the last time you spoke to your parents? It was years, my brother. Years, no communication. And this is where I felt in my heart, I think I need this turning point. But before that, I was looking where they have hidden the briefcase because I had not given up with it. And I remember now, they asked me, do you want to surrender? That's where I removed all the drugs that were in my bag. The drugs filled the table. I used to carry my own blood because I was told I have an incurable disease. They told me I have HIV because of sharing the syringe with prostitutes. And I remember now I used to carry my own drug. I used to use the syringe in the shops. If the security doesn't want me to take the goods, I will show them the blood and I will inject them.
Right.
And I remember now I surrendered. The pastor moved when he saw what I was carrying. And that was the day I said, Jesus, come into my life. I am tired.
Conviction hit you proper.
Hit me. And I remember that was the first time my eyes opened. I was living in London for many years, but I had never seen what I was seeing. I began to see shops that I have never seen before because I was in darkness. I began to see the light of God. Things began to change.
Right.
And that was my turning point. From that day, God began to do wonders. He began to heal me from inside outside. He removed all this. I was 9 stone. I couldn't walk straight. My backbone was gone. Everything was gone. My organs were gone.
Right.
And God began to heal me. I had a big hole in my stomach that was removing pus and blood at the same time. When I lost all my veins in the body, in my hands, I began skin pop. When the skin popping didn't get me high, I began to push the heroin, the syringe, inside the hole in my stomach.
Wow.
This hole was because of gonorrhea and syphilis untreated. And God began to heal me miraculously.
Aye, we will pause it right there.
Amen.
We'll pause it right there. We have another opportunity
Yes.
just to get to share. I think you'll just wind that up
Yes.
as we finish on that and as we talk about overcoming addiction.
Amen.
What you are today, what you're doing today,
Yes.
and what God has made you be today.
Praise
All right,
God.
so we continue. We take a short break. Then we will continue with Pastor Joseph Njuguna later on, and just speaking about addictions and how you probably who is right in there will be able to overcome, because God helps you.
Amen.
He has helped many, and he will actually help you overcome. All right, so we come back in a short while. Don't go too far.